Well, hello, everybody. Today with me, I have Quentin Goodbody. Quentin is the president of the Ladysmith and District Historical Society. How's it going, Q?
Good. Busy. Sunny day outside.
It is a beautiful day, but it seems that there's a few storm clouds that are gathering over the Ladysmith Museum.
Well, what we're trying to do is define a way forward for the museum. At the moment, the museum is located in a house on the corner of First Avenue and Buller in the heart of Ladysmith. And that building actually is slated for demolition, associated with the potential construction of a new town hall on that site. And basically what we're trying to do is do some forward planning for continuity of the museum and its collections. The Historical Society manages and operates the municipal museum on behalf of the town and community through a management and operating agreement. And basically, we want to work with the town to define a way forward. Our immediate concerns are we're possibly facing a referendum in October of this year, in which the town will request approval to borrow money for construction of a new city hall. And in my mind, there's no doubt that the town requires a new city hall. The current city hall building is way too small to accommodate the required administration to run a town of its current size. So basically, there's the possibility that the community will approve the town borrowing some money to construct a new city hall. And the area where the current museum building is and some adjacent empty lots were purchased by the town about 15 years ago, or a little bit longer than that, specifically with the purpose of building a new city hall on that site. So if a referendum goes forward and the community approves the town borrowing the money, the building which the current museum is in could be demolished sooner rather than later. And we just need to be prepared for that possibility.
Well, if the museum is demolished, what would happen to all the artifacts? I understand you have about 1,500 artifacts that are housed in that venue at this point?
Yes, we have quite an important collection of heritage artifacts which illustrate the history of Ladysmith and District. And as a historical society, we are mandated through the management and operating agreement to collect and preserve and promote the heritage artifact collection. And in a way, you could call the Historical Society the custodian of the community's heritage artifact collection. So we're just trying to do our duty by clarifying what's going to happen to the artifact collection should the building be demolished. There's a number of possibilities. Either a new home for the museum is defined and the artifacts are transferred to that new home, or if there is no new home defined for the museum and its artifacts, then the artifacts will need to go into storage. There is a third alternative, in which case that the town, or the community rather, decides that it doesn't want a museum and it doesn't want the artifact collection, in which case the artifact collection would have to be dispersed. It's something I don't want to consider, but is a possibility, so one has to take it into consideration. But the fact is that the artifact collection in the museum is of direct relevance to Ladysmith and its history.
Right. Is there a value on artifacts? Can you assign any kind of value on these?
That's really hard to say. I mean, we've looked into that aspect in relation to insurance, and there's one would say the artifacts have minimal value. You know, a lot of things are things which just aren't used anymore. What value does a crucible from the smelter that operated in Ladysmith from 1902 to about 1910 have? You could say it's valueless, but on the other hand, you could say that it is priceless. From our perspective, it's priceless because it illustrates something important in the history of the community.
What should the community do? What can they do if they do support the museum or the continuation of a museum in town? Like, is there any action anybody can take?
Well, the immediate action they can take is that the Historical Society, acting on a request from the town to illustrate an indication of relevance of the museum and its artifact collection by the community, is to go on to change.org. There's a petition. It's called a petition, but really it's a vote that's requested saying, yes, I believe the museum is of relevance and of importance to Ladysmith, and I support it by clicking the button that adds my signature to this petition.
Okay, well, we can put the link down below here so people can click on that directly. Is there anything else that you would need or you would like?
Well, the expression of support is most important. The town, in addition to looking for an expression of relevance from the community with regards to the museum and the collections, also requested the Historical Society perform an up-to-date inventory of what artifacts are actually in the collection. We have an inventory. It was done, the latest editions were done a couple of years ago. And so we have arranged for a review of the artifact inventory this summer, and we have people in place to do that.
Well, that's wonderful. So your timeline basically is?
Over the next, basically over the summer, we'd like the expression of interest to develop. And as I say, we'll be working the inventory, and we'll be doing some social media activity and also physical pop-ups around and about town to show the community the sorts of things that are in the collections. I've been the president of the Historical Society for a number of years, so I'm a history nerd. But I do think, apart from my own personal interest in the history and heritage of the community that I live in, the museum is a conduit for the artifacts to tell stories about the community. And if the museum and artifacts are lost or dispersed, we'll lose those stories as well. And we'll lose a significant sense of place. And we'll also lose a significant attraction that separates Ladysmith from other places. It has its own unique history, which is remarkably diverse. We have a very multicultural community here with a very diverse history, right from pre-contact First Nations up to present day. And lots of people, on an average year, we get about 4,000 visitors at the museum, many of them people from out of town who come to town specifically drawn by Ladysmith's heritage. And they stop by the museum to check out what's there and to get a little bit of grounding about Ladysmith. And I think that's really important. And not only does it give the people who live in Ladysmith a sense of place, but also provides the visitor with a sense of place and an understanding of where they are. But it draws in visitors and contributes significantly to the local economy by doing so.
Well, it sounds like the Ladysmith Museum is a place that's filled with a lot more than just old things.
Yeah, I mean, we put a lot of love into it. You could describe it as a rinky-dink little local museum, which it is, but it hefts above its weight. And I believe it holds an important place in the community.
If you support the continuation of a museum in Ladysmith, whether it stays where it is or a new home is found for it, please sign the statement of support at change.org Ladysmith Museum, or let Ladysmith Town Council know that the continuation of a museum where it is or elsewhere is important.